welcome to my first makeup tutorial. So I started today out by doing my brows off camera, and I used the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Definer in medium brown. And next I am just setting my eyeshadow base with any translucent powder. I used the Thank Me Later eyeshadow primer by Elizabeth Mott. Next I will be going into the Tartelette palette with Force of Nature, and I'm going to be using that in my upper crease, and you'll see that I just use windshield wiper motions back and forth to apply that evenly, and then I'll go in with circular motions up towards my brow just to evenly blend that out. Next I'll be going back into that Tartelette palette using Natural Beauty, and I'm going to use that just right in my crease as well, right on top of Force of Nature. It's going to add more dimension to the eyeshadow once it's all blended out. And again, just using windshield wiper motions and circular motions to evenly blend that out. Next, I will be going into the Tartelette palette again using Power Play, and I'm going to use this directly in my crease. It's going to deepen it up, giving it almost a cut crease type look, just giving it a lot of dimension and depth in my crease. And then also, I haven't been mentioning the brushes. I will link them down below what I've been using. Most of them are the limited edition gold Morphe brushes. They collabed with Mac Daddy, and those are the ones that I love to use. So again, I'll just go ahead and link those in the description box down below, as well as all of the products that I'm using. So I'm just going to continue to blend this out and just give it a very seamless blended look. For the lid, I will be going into the Pocket Pro 2 by Lorac, and I will be using the middle shade Rose. And it's just a nice, pretty rose gold color. It has lots of pink and gold reflex in it. I also went ahead and dampened my brush. You can use water, MAC Fix Plus. I just used whatever finishing spray I had on hand. And I just spritzed it and dipped it into the shadow, and it just gives it a nice metallic look. It just makes it much more pigmented and easier to work with, in my opinion. Now I will be going back into that Lorac palette using Buff, and I'm just going to use that as my underbrow. Not necessarily a highlight, but just to define my brows a little bit more, and then I'll go ahead and kind of blend that out. Now I am going back into that Tartelette palette, and I'm going to be using Fashionista, and it is a super dark matte black, and I'm going to be mapping out a line as if I was doing eyeliner. And I do apologize for the fact that I am completely out of frame this entire clip, but I'm just going to go ahead, and you're going to just layer that on. Just keep layering it on as dark as you want, and then you'll go ahead and take a pencil brush and just buff it out a little bit so it's just a really smoked liner. So now I will go ahead and I'll be taking off the Scotch tape that I have there. I didn't mention that before that I did the Scotch tape. I just like to have a very, very straight, blunt, defined line. After I do that, I'm going to go in with my Step 1 primer by Makeup Forever. It's the Hydrating Primer. And I'll just be putting that all over my T-zone and just really rubbing it in. And I will blot a little bit, making sure it gets super tacky. Then I will be going in with my two favorite foundations. Yes, I like to mix two. And I will be using the Fit Me Matte Poreless in the shade 112 Ivory. And then I will be going in with the Lumi Match Foundation by L'Oreal in the shade N12 Soft Ivory. And I just mix those on the back of my hand, making a little cocktail. And then I will go ahead and just dab it all over my face. And lately I've been liking to use a brush to buff it out and just kind of blend it all in when I want a more full coverage foundation. And then when I'm finished with my brush, I'll go back over it with my beauty blender just to make sure that I don't have any harsh stippling from my brush, and it just gives a nice porcelain finish. Next, I will be going in with my favorite concealer, and it's by Urban Decay. It's the Naked Skin Weightless Complete Coverage Concealer in the shade Light Warm. I will be taking this all under my eyes using a triangle shape, and then on my chin as well as the middle of my forehead to do some highlighting. This concealer is super bright. No matter what shade you get, it's always super bright, so I like to evenly display it across my face so that I don't look too bright and uneven under my eyes. So I will just go ahead and blend that out with a damp beauty blender. Now I will be going into my Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, and I do apologize, it is so beat up. I love this thing to death. I use it all the time, and I'm so sad that I am almost out of my favorite colors. But I'll be going under my eye with the shade Lucid, which is the lightest shade in the palette, and I'll just be putting that all over my under eye and just anywhere that I put that concealer. And after that, I will be going in with any translucent powder. The one that I have broke, so I put it into a different container, so I'm not really sure which one I'm using, but you can use any one, it'll work. And I'm just going to put that all over to set my face. Now I will be going back into that Tartelette palette using the shade Natural Beauty and just buffing that out all under my lash line. And then I will be taking a small pencil brush and I will be putting that in Fashionista and just putting it on the outside of my eyes, about halfway, just to lengthen that liner, but not bringing it all the way around, just doing very smoky on the outside of the eye. It's going to define your eye a lot more. And then I will be going in and taking the shade Rose from the Lorac palette and putting it on the second half in the inner corner of my eye to give that brightening and rosy gold color. Now I'm going to go ahead and bronze my face, and I forgot to show you guys, but I'm going to be using the Kat Von D Shade Light palette again. I'm going to be using the shade Sombre, and I'm just going to go ahead and just put that all over my cheeks and kind of making a C shape up to my forehead and just along my hairline, just to bronze my face. I'm not going to do any contouring today, just a lot of bronzer just to warm up the face and just give it a lot of dimension. I'm going to go ahead and take that same Sombre shade from the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, and I'm just going to be using it to contour my nose. I just go down the sides of my nose and then on the tip of my nose just to give it a very buttony shape. And then I will be going into the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, and I actually cannot read the name of this shade, but it is the orangey darkest shade in the palette on the top. And I will be using it to blend together my bronzer and my under eye highlight. Now I will be using my Bellapierre Cosmetics Mineral Blush in the shade Desert Rose, and I'll just be putting this all over the apples of my cheeks. Now I will be going in with my Colourpop Super Shock Shadow in the shade Famous, and I will be putting that on the high points of my cheeks. I'll be placing it on my nose as well as my Cupid's bow. I'll probably put a little bit on my chin, and I put some above my brows, just a little bit. This is actually an eyeshadow, and I know that they definitely have highlighters through Colourpop, but I just really like this shade. I think it works really well. And then I will be taking my Holiday palette by Becca Cosmetics and mixing the shade Pearl and Champagne Pop and just putting that right on top of wherever I put that Famous by Colourpop. Now I will go ahead and curl my lashes, and I'm actually going to be putting on some falsies, but I will do that off camera. And I'm going to be using the Demi Whiskies by Ardelle, and then I will be going in for my lips and using the NYX lip liner in Peekaboo Neutral and just lining my lips. I'm not overlining them or anything special, just typical lining my lips. And then I will be going in with the Revlon shade in 820 Pink Contigo. And I will also be going over that with the Smashbox Insta-matte lipstick. I'm not sure if any of you have used it, but I absolutely love the Smashbox Insta-matte. I know it's not super popular right now, but it should be. This is amazing. Okay, and after that, this is my completed look. I hope you like it. If you do, thumbs up and subscribe down below.